Hi, welcome back to the PAFA wire wrapping channel, and apologies as usual for taking so long to get another video out. So today I'm going to be making, hopefully, something that looks like this or this. This one's I actually just made as practice this morning because I wanted to be sure I could try and do this. It's with round wire, and I'm going to be using square wire, so hopefully it's going to turn out more like this, but it won't be exact. It's just a design that I like, and I really like using square wire, which is what this one is made with. And today, what we're going to need as far as tools and supplies, well, I've got these little round glass pieces that I painted, and they are about 3/4 of an inch in diameter. I painted it on the back with sparkly green and blue paint, and also, I don't know why I have some purple in there, but I do. And then I resined it on the back so that you can't scratch the paint off. I just like doing that, but you can use any kind of a round piece that will work for you, a stone. I've got 3 11-inch dead soft square gold-filled wires. Now, you don't have to use gold-filled. This one that I showed you previously, that is, it looks gold, but it's actually brass. So you don't have to get expensive wire to do this. And this is round, so you can make something similar with round, just as you can with square. And I wanted to show you both so you understand that either way is possible. I'm sorry, in addition to the 3 11-inch square wire, we're going to use 22 gauge half round gold-filled wire. A grid board is a really great idea. And or a ruler, flush cutters, wire straighteners, tweezer nose pliers, flat nose pliers, round nose pliers. I think that's all we're going to need. Let's get started. So we're going to take these wires, and then we're going to take the half round, and we're going to make sure that the flat side is on the inside. As I've mentioned before, if you watch my videos, you want to try to make the inside the part that curves in. It's just more helpful, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to grab about an inch or more of this, and I'm going to wrap it. I'm left-handed, by the way, so whatever you see, if you're right-handed, you may want to do it in reverse. Okay, so this actually works out well because, well, actually maybe not, because I wanted that to be the inside. So I'm just going to nip it on the part that I want to be the inside. Okay, and you want to go about halfway between 3 wires, snip that off, press it down, and so far I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This will be 7. Excuse the noise. Then you can squish them together and see if 10 is going to be enough. Yeah, I think that's about right. It's up to you how many you use. I kind of like 10 for these 3/4 inch glass pieces. Okay, I did get a little bend here when the camera fell over, and I was looking at these wires, and clearly one of them is not where it should be. So I'm going to pull it up. Now I've pulled it too far, so I guess I'll pull the other ones up instead of trying to. Actually, I can just use the ruler. Because they're 11 inches, you want to get it at about 5.5 where the middle is. Oh, one of these is not 11 inches. That's why it was like, so it's a little bit shorter, so I'm just going to move it so it's sort of even. I probably made it 10 inches accidentally, but I think it'll be fine. So that's about 5.5. Now what we're going to do, I'm afraid to move this cloth because the camera might fall over again. Okay, I'm going to move this up, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to put this down on the board and using just a little bit, I didn't mention this, Loctite putty, just to hold it down and just kind of press it. The only problem with using too much of this is that when you go to bend your wires around, they'll go underneath, and that's a problem. And this is a little bit high, but maybe I can take a little off. Of course, if you don't have enough, then it won't stick, so you've got a problem on your hands. Get it kind of even in both regards here. Then I'm going to take this, and I forgot to mention this. This is a really good idea. A magic marker or anything that the roundness is about the same size as the diameter of your stone. This is a little bit smaller, but that's okay. Just make it loose when you wrap it around. Okay, so then once you've got that, you want to take it and you want to just gently bend, hopefully in the center, so that those end up like that. That's the center. Now, do your best to make this fit. So there's just a little indentation there on the glass. So I'm going to put that indentation toward the front because it'll look weird wrapped with it the wrong spot. So let's hope that this is right. I didn't think they moved, so even though it looks odd, it should bend properly. Basically, you want to bend it over and leave yourself a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of space because you're going to need some space. And make sure it goes over the line, which is hard to see with this 120 number here. And make sure when you're bending it that the wires are all the way across. Now I have to do the other one, and I'm just going to flip these to the top because it'll make it easier. So making sure we're all centered, tighten it up, bring these over the top without bending it so that it doesn't leave an ugly little curve that you don't want. Then try to bend it right at the same spot the other one is. So we want to always measure and measure again to make sure that we're nice and straight before we start wrapping anything. And that doesn't always happen. As you can see, I'm a little bit off there. So I'm going to take these back out and just gently, very gently, because you don't want to leave a bend in there. It's harder with the gold. You can ruin it that way, which I just probably did, but that's why I always recommend if you're starting out, use copper. Copper's cheap. A lot of people don't want to buy copper, so you just have to be careful what you choose. Okay, so that pushing there is there, and I put the bend too low, so I'm going to put the bend now. Actually, one trick you can do is just go with your pliers on both, and that way they bend in the same direction, the same spot. And it looks a little off, but don't worry. You want to make sure everybody's lined up in the bend. There we go. And then just double check, see if it's going to sit okay. It's okay if it's not quite perfect because once it's wrapped, you can push it around and straighten it out. But it looks pretty good. Now that you think you have it more or less right. Let me cover this back up and find my 1/2 round wire. And again, leaving it on the spool because we don't know how much we're going to use. I actually put this on this little Bobby's bobbin when I got it because the spools from Rio Grande, I don't know, they're huge and it's not helpful. These are great, the Bobby's bobbins. So wrap this around, again, making sure that the dull side's on the inside. Wrap it around like 4 times, maybe more. And then go up under just to tighten it, make sure it's not going anywhere. And then snip that edge off so you don't hurt yourself with it. Now, if you've got too many wraps, I'd say 4 is good. So I've got 5, so I'm going to go back a little bit. And this is where I pulled it through, so this will be the front. I'm going to figure out here, I want the, whatchamacallit, the bail to be in the back. So I'm going to just gently bend these. You got to be real careful with square wire because it's not very forgiving. So you want to make sure you bend carefully and not make any dents you don't want. As you can see, I've got one of the shorter wires here, but it's okay. I'll probably have to cut a lot of this off anyway. So I'm going to take this wire, which is now coming from here, over that and making sure that it's nice and straight. And you can always kind of pull these a little bit more out of the way. Just kind of, I leave a little bit of space when I'm starting out because my fingers are going to bump these lower wires. And when you get, I don't know, 10 wires wrapped, 10 wraps, not 10 wires, then just go down and you know, tighten them down like that. You want to make sure they're all nice and snug and they're not too loose. And as you get farther away from those bulbous tops of the other wires, then you can keep your fingers closer, which will make it a lot easier to keep everything lined up and straight and all that good stuff. And then again, once in a while, go down and just do that because you want to make sure you're not making it so tight that you can't move the wraps, because if you can't move the wraps, then you're going to have a very ugly bail. Okay, and I want to get about 1 inch or so. Don't want to go too far. I don't want a giant bail with a small stone. That would look weird. So I think that's about right. I might do maybe 2, and then cut it off in the back, put it in between the 2 wires, tighten it down. And now what we want to do is go over to our stone and see, with a round stone, it's always harder. I want to see if this is going to fit nicely. You want to push it up if you need to. This is where having a grid board comes in handy because you want to be able to see if the bail and the wraps are lined up. I'm going to put this back here where hopefully you can see it. Looks lined up, so that's a little bit loose actually. I'm going to turn this around because I left-handed. You really don't want it to be loose with the round stone because it's going to be tricky to hold it in with 3 wires. It's possible. And you can always use 4 if you feel more comfortable. I use 3, but so there's the center of the wraps, more or less. And there's the bail. So that's where you want the center of the wraps to be right there, because what we're going to do next, and we have to think about just trying to tighten this up a little bit. And what I would do is just sort of gently push your wires upward and try again. Looks pretty good, but it looks a little bit loose over here on this side, which is a little bit hard to do on the board here. I'm going to try and make sure you can see what I'm doing, but I'm going to try to gently tighten that. See if it's still going to be loose. You want it to be snug. Not so snug you can't get it around. And also, when you get done with your bail, just straighten it out because these wires tend to move. So, I'd have to do it by hand. Okay. So that's more or less. It's going to need a little bit of adjustment, but... And it's going to be snug, which is good. Okay. Let's just tighten that up. Okay, go ahead and do the bail. And then you could do it either way. You could take your back end and do what I'm going to do next first, or you could do the bail first, which I'm doing. So it just depends on what works for you. And then when you do the bail, you're going to have to lift these up a little bit, get them out of the way very gently and kind of straighten them as you go. Take your bail wires, making sure they're not crisscrossed, which, guess what? They are. So that's why it's important to always make sure. You want to make sure when they're coming through from the back, they don't crisscross before you pull them tight to connect them in. So you bring those back, and I'm just going to push it in a little bit more. And you want that to where the wires end basically is where your bail begins. So then separate them, bring them around. And make sure they're nice and high and snug. And then you're going to snip right about there. And be careful as you do this that you don't distort the shape of your frame. I've done that. I've done a lot of mistakes. You can learn from all of my mistakes. So it can be easier to do this with the stone in, but this way, hopefully you won't get anything out of whack. That's just my opinion. When you go to put your stone in, you won't get anything out of whack. Okay. I'm hoping you can see what I'm doing. I'm trying really hard not to go off camera like I used to do. I really haven't been wire wrapping much at all lately. I've been in kind of a winter funk, so I'm glad it's spring. I have not been doing much of anything I should be doing with wire wrapping, but here we are. That's done. Now one more time, and I may have to come in from the front because the back's going to be all bulbous now, but I'm going to just one more time. Just want to make sure, because as you can see, there's a bit of a gap there. So I just want to, it's hard to do this way. I don't know why I always try to do things both left and right-handed, and it always messes me up because I can never choose which direction is going to work best for me. Okay, so that looks tighter now. Just do that. Make sure that the bail, now that it's done, is still lined up nicely, which I hope you can see. Now I have to flip it over, of course, before I put the stone in, because I don't want to put it in backwards. We're going to take the back wire, separate it with your fingernail. And then what I usually do with these round stones, because they're a little bit harder to keep in, is I go up more toward the middle to bend in. You just got to be careful. Gold wire, especially square, can be hard to bend, especially also when it's already wrapped in there. So you flipped it over, and then you want to see if you want to try to get it around the same area if you can. I'm getting a little bit high or low. What is it? Low, I guess. Just to try to get it to look somewhat the same, even though I'm doing a terrible job here. And then you can go and get your little stone or glass or whatever you're using and pop that in there. Now I've found that I've moved my wraps. That's another reason it's good. If you're up in the middle and you move your wraps, you can move them back. But if you're right down at the bottom and you move your wraps, you're screwed. Excuse my language. That's not really language, but not very professional sounding. Okay. And I'm going to move these back a little bit before I do the front, because you want the front to be closer to the wire wraps. The back is not that important. Unless my eyes deceive me, that looks pretty good, which sometimes they do. So press it up as much as you can, and then holding your stone in, grab it down there near the wraps, and just push in, and then flip it over. And again, grab it near the wraps and push in. And then you want to make sure these guys are right on the edge, which is not always that easy. All right, let's see how we look here. I got a little piece of stuff from the putty on there. Okay, this one's a little more. Now, do I want it more or less? I think I'm going to move this one in a little bit more, just to make them even looking. So that looks pretty good, I think. Okay, what we're going to do, I'm going to bring these forward, and then we're going to go to the back wires, and we're going to kind of gently push them up straight and bring them through, just like with the bail wire. One at a time though. Let's only do one of these at a time. And what we're going to try to do, kind of line it up with the bail without scratching the wire, hopefully, or bending it in a weird way. And then got to move that other wire out of the way again. Go over, then snip that off like right there. Hold on, when you go to tuck it in, hold on to this because you don't want it getting pulled down. So when you go to tuck, just hold on to that tight. And so you tuck that just like you did the bail. We're going to repeat on the other side. Bring it a little bit forward, and then bend it, and then bring it under. Okay, did I show you that? Okay, so I brought it a little bit forward. I'm sorry if I'm off camera there. And then bring it through. I just do with my fingers to try to avoid any marks if I can. But at some point you do have to use your pliers. So it is a little big, so I'm going to pull this with my pliers gently. Move this out of the way. Try to move this lined up here. Just made it a little crooked. All right, so you basically want it to be the same size as the one on the other side, but you can see this one's a little bit higher right there. And just kind of make some gentle tweaks. And then bring this under that wire or move that wire, one or the other. And as you bring it around, let's make sure that it looks like it's the same. I want to maybe bring it down just a tad because it looks like it's not a little bit bigger than I want it to be. Still a little bit too high. It takes a lot of tweaking with these when you do these things. But if you're nice and careful, hopefully you'll get them about the right height, but it's not easy. Okay, so try to tweak this up a little without damaging the shape. And all right, I hope that they look fairly even. That being the case, I'm going to squish it in just a little bit. You pull it tight, you see it moved backwards a little bit. So I'm gonna move it back up, and you're gonna move that down, and you get your snippers again. I call them snippers or flush cutters, and just pull that over, tuck it in. Oh, I didn't hold on to it, which is what I told you to do. You really should hold on to it so that it doesn't get, yanked, but it shouldn't if it's tightened before you tighten it, if you know what I mean. Can you tell I had a lot of caffeine today? Because I did. This is where we're at now. And now we can bring them out a little bit. They're going to look something like that. I may pinch the tops a little bit when I finish. But this is what we've got going on here now. And then we're getting very close to the end. And actually I can cover this back up now. So I'm gonna grab some accent beads. The stone is green and blue. We could use blue and we could use green. So it's good to have these little triangle trays, especially when working with beads or little bits of wire. So this might be somewhat different than the other one I was showing you. And these are actually really nice. There'll be a few of these if the color is good. I think they'll fit. Yeah, there we go. I think this is a 3 or 4 millimeter. I don't have all the information on my beads like I should as far as the size and everything, but I can tell you it's a 3 or 4 millimeter. That's all I can tell you. It's probably 4. I don't know how many I want, but I do know the curvature is going to be like that, gentle. It's got to be a gentle curvature. I'm going to add maybe 1 or 2 more. I think I'm going to go with 2. But it might be too many. We'll see. Oh, good Lord, it's hard to get it on. Oh, okay, there we go. All right. So we're going to do a gentle curve, and then we're going to gently bring it down and across. And it's hard to get it to the point where you're not going to see any of that gold wire in there, but that's just how it is. So I want to do it kind of like that, and then bring it around. Now you can either cut it off right there or bring it around underneath. Actually, I don't know if I want to do that. That doesn't really look right. I am going to cut it. I'm going to waste my wire. Oh, it kills me. Okay, because gold wire is not cheap. Gotta tuck, yep. Gotta tuck that in. Hope it doesn't stick out the front. It's good. So we've got that, and it doesn't quite look great because you see all that stuff in there, which is why we're going to do something different. I'm going to see, maybe I can find some green ones that are a little bit bigger. So in here, I have some blue and some green. I'm gonna go with the green. I might do 2 of them. Okay, so first get it all the way down and then bring it around. Like I said, it's going to be a little bit different than the other one, but similar. What I want to do now is gently try not to get marks on there. Pull that down, which is hard to do when you've got 2 of these on here. So a lot of times just doing it by hand is easier, okay? So I'm going to do that. And try and bend this here. Okay. So I don't know how this is going to turn out, to be honest, and that's usually the case with me. I'm going to just bring this back down. There will be a method to my madness. Gently turn it, and then I'm going to grab a couple more of these green guys. 1 more. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 and 2, but they're just going to go a little differently to give it a little bit of a sort of a design. Sort of a design. To kind of press this wire and press that down. That's different. Might be too busy. I might take 1 off because it doesn't need to be that busy. And just kind of bring that down. Okay. And then let's do something a little bit different. I think I'm going to bring it around. We'll bring it around the underbead. Let's see how that looks. So, okay. And just gently tighten that. Yeah, this is me in my not wasting wire mode. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not saying anything because I'm trying to think here. Can't think and talk and chew gum at the same time. kind of want to do something that may not work. And I'm going to try something crazy. I'm actually going to twist this wire to make it a little easier. Maybe it's not easier, but... So this is how, you know, wire wrapping really should be. You're going to follow tutorials and stuff, but in the end, you want to make something your own. And you're going to experiment, like what I'm doing right here. And maybe I shouldn't be experimenting when I'm trying to teach you something, but that's kind of how I do things. It's going through, but I have to be quite careful to be sure. So I don't know if you can see. It's in there, and it's going to come through, but I have to really work it to get it through. Unless I can grab it, which, oh, look at that. I grabbed it. There was enough room. Okay, so being able to grab it makes a big difference. But then you've got to watch because it's starting to come off of where I had it here. Oh, and sometimes things don't work the way you wanted them to. So I'm going to do this again. And now I've kind of moved the dial here. This is pointing downward and I'm kind of liking it. So what I was planning to do and what is happening, two different things. I'm going to try to hold on to this as I try to bend this up under, which is what I'm doing. This isn't the same design, obviously, that you saw with the other piece I showed you in the beginning. But I don't really want to do everything the same all the time. So as you pull on the wire, you'll see that it will move if it's not nailed down. I'd really like to hide this little gap in here, but I don't think I can. I am just going to try to make a little swirl here, then fill the gap in with the swirl, which I hope will look good, but we shall see. And do I want just one swirl and then tuck it in somewhere, or probably, because there's not a lot of room. Let me try to take this. Got this swirl here, which I kind of want to push in a little bit. There. And then I want to take this around and not make that horrible noise. And you got to be careful too that you don't do something to break your crystals while you're messing around with this. So I've got that swirl. I might actually just make another swirl here. And then I will probably have to take some of that half round wire to try to tie everything down a little bit. I'm just going to try and move this swirl down here a little bit and tighten it up. Now that I've pushed it back, tightening it up won't be easy. So these little tiny end touches that take up more time than what you'd like. So I think this is going to be the design. I hope you liked it. Kind of crazy looking, like a pineapple or something. I'm going to, let's see, is that okay back there? I'm going to tighten this up. So I'm just going to cut off like, I don't know, 1.5 inches of this half round, and I'm going to tie it in somewhere where things are kind of loose. I will go right into the swirl, the double swirl, and push these back. Let's see where I can push them back. Okay, I can push them back through. Now, did you see what I just did there? Okay, just pushed them back through, and now they're here saying, where are you going to put me? I'm going to wrap them around these guys. That way they'll keep their outer part looking out, hopefully. Be careful not to get that too distorted when you do this. Okay, just a couple of wraps. I'm going to do 3. Why not? Snip it off. And tuck it over. Sorry, I'm a little loopy. Okay, same thing on this one. come through that way. So I did some crazy stuff on the front, but I did tie it in so it won't go away. It won't go running away. I mean, you don't want it running away on you while you're wearing it, but you don't want it especially running away if you're selling it to somebody. Can you still see what I'm doing? I can't even tell. Okay. This one's not okay. It needs to be bent back. Okay. All right. And maybe this one needs to be bent back a bit too. Okay. Just so they're not out of shape. This one may be sticking out from where it should be a little bit too much. Okay, I think that does it. I hope this didn't look too difficult, and don't expect to do anything exactly the same as anyone else. You have the basics that I showed you for how to make the frame and, you know, put a few beads on, and you can play around with those last 2 wires and make it your own. So I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you again soon, and take care. I'll talk to you later. Bye.